In this video, we're going to talk about how to use mirrors with automations. So mirrors provides the ability for a task to live in multiple boards at one time. So I have my two boards here, content marketing and marketing campaign in the marketing group here, and we are setting up a review process. So I already have an automation set up for some things happening when it gets to review, but we have a lot of these review things happening between the two boards. So what we're going to want to do is mirror them when it gets to the review step, mirror it to the review and approvals board. So then the people reviewing and approving these pieces of content and campaigns can see all of the things they need to review in one place. Now we have to do a couple things to accomplish this. We're going to have an aggregate board here showing requests from content marketing, and for marketing campaign, we want to make sure we reference the board. Secondly, we want to make sure we create the mirror to go there and make sure we don't create duplicates and all those things, which I'll show you how to do that. So the first thing we do is create a custom field. So I'm going to go to custom field section. I'm going to create a custom field to reference for the board. Right? So this is data that we're going to collect and use it later to show what board the review request is coming from. So we're just going to call that board. We're going to make it a text field. We don't have to worry about any of this right now, making it read-only or anything. So we're going to go ahead and create it. And then I'm going to go over to automations and go to my review automation in my marketing group. So we have an automation set up here when it's moved to review list, add a tag, and send a notification. So within here, we're doing a couple things. We're adding a tag, we're sending a notification. We're also setting some custom fields here for the review process. And now I want to go ahead and collect that data for the board and create the mirror. So I'm going to add another action to go ahead and add my board custom field here. So I'm going to do set custom field properties. So I'm going to go ahead and select the custom field I created called board. And then I'm going to use a variable here. We have another video on variables as well if you want to learn more about how to use variables. But I'd like to get the board title of where this happens, right? So we have two boards in the mix. I want to make sure we capture the right board name so we can reference it on the review board. So I'm going to do bracket board dot title. And then should this be visible on the task? No, I don't want it visible actually. I'm just going to use it in the background. So it's still going to store in the task, but it just won't be visible. So should this be visible on the task face? Yes, it should, because I want to show that board name on the review board. Set custom field position, doesn't matter because it's not showing, and perform action on self. And then we're going to add another action for the mirror. So I'm going to go ahead and do add mirror. And where should the mirror be created? So we're going to do it to a specific list on a board because we know exactly what board it's going to. We're going to go do the review and approval board. What list should it go into? It does dynamically pull those lists. So I'm going to leave it at review requests. Then you select the position. I'm going to go ahead and put them on the bottom. So newer entries show up at the bottom, older entries show on top. And then perform action on self. Now, I don't want multiple mirrors to show up if this rule fires again. So I only want to create it once. So in this case, I'm going to add a condition. And I'm going to add two things, which is a good practice here. Type is parent. So I only want it to execute on parent tasks. And we have specific conditions here for mirrors. So I'm going to search for mirror. And I'm going to use the has mirror condition. So basically we're saying has mirror, yes or no, right? So I want to make sure only fire this rule if it doesn't have a mirror on the board already. So has mirror, no. And then I'm going to go ahead and select the same board for review. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and apply that. And now my rule is ready to save. All right, great. So if we go back to our boards and we come into our content marketing board, I'm going to go ahead and move something into review. I'm going to take this social media post, move it to review. And all those other automations are going to fire. So I get the in review tag, I get the notification. You'll see now the board has popped in there. And we also have a mirror icon right here on the face and up top in the open task. And if I click that, it now shows me that the task lives in two different places: on content marketing, review, social media post, where we are right now, and it also lives now in review and approval board under review requests. So now we can actually see that task in the other board. So if I jump over to that review and approval board, people receiving those requests can now see that mirrored task as well here. It can move independently. So if I can move it to in review, it's now being processed. And I can reference the board here. It's from content marketing. So there can be a separate process set up here for review and approval that only the people responsible for that task will be able to implement and execute on. And if I go back to the board, you'll see I move this to in review. It doesn't affect anything back on the other board. So the context stays complete as far as where it was, right? So it's still in a review step here, and it's still sitting. It's not going to move as it moves on the other board. You can automate that if you want once it completes that process. But that's how mirrors work, and that's how you use automations to add mirrors. So if I go now and add one, because I set this up for both boards, if I do one from the marketing campaign, and I do a podcast interview, let's say, and I go ahead and move that to review, the same thing's going to happen now on this board. It will dynamically pull this board name, though, marketing campaign, and now it will show here. I have under here, if I go to review and approval, I now have this here, podcast interview tour, and it's referencing the marketing campaign board. So now you can see two different tasks here for review and approval, each referencing the board uniquely, and now can move independently as well.